Page 123. Tell it to Jesus. Page 123. Charlie, how's school? Guess you'll find out next week. Is that right? Close the rest of the week? Okay. Y'all going anywhere? You got a couple days? Huh? You have to go tomorrow and the next day? You have to go on Friday? Oh, okay. I was going to say there's a horse sale that the kids would love to go to. You can take David Underwood. Marie would pay you. It's like, what did you call it? Called husband daycare? The horse sale? That's what she said. Anyway, you gotta go to school. If you can't do it. Okay. Hope you have fun on the days where kids want to. Okay, Song 120. Song. We're going to sing page 123. Are you weary? Are you heavy-hearted? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Are you grieving over joys departed? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You have no other such a friend or brother. Tell it to Jesus alone. Do the tears flow down your cheeks unbidden? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. Have you sins that to men's eyes are hidden? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You have no other such a friend or brother. Tell it to Jesus alone. Last verse. Are you troubled at the thought of dying? Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. For Christ's coming kingdom are you sighing? Tell it to Jesus alone. Tell it to Jesus. Tell it to Jesus. He is a friend that's well known. You have no other such a friend or brother. Tell it to Jesus alone. Thank you. Have a seat. Okay, let's tell it to Jesus then. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Does anybody have a spoken prayer request? I've got a couple. Okay, Virgil Minnie has kidney stones, and he's also very sick with, can't think what the other thing was. But he is, Katrina texted Tammy on Monday, and she said she has never seen him this sick. Not with, just with kidney stones, he has some other, it's not COVID, it's something else, but she has never seen him in his lifetime as sick as what he is right now. So keep Virgil in your prayers. And maybe I'll think of it later what the other issue is. And then Kelly Young's granddaughter, Hannah's baby, is only just a couple months old, has COVID and RSV, and is really, really sick. And the rest of the family is not sick. So I don't know, just pray for that baby. I think she's only 6 months old, something like that, not very old. So pray for that baby, the baby to recover quickly from all its health issues. It's Kelly Young's it's Hannah's baby. I can't think of the baby's name right now. Okay. Anybody else? Pray. Okay. 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 Anybody else? Pray for the kids that are sick. The other kids that are sick. That enough kids that they shut the school down. Okay. Pray for a quick recovery. Charlie, will you lead some prayer? Great awakening. That's exactly what we need. There was a preacher's prayer meeting last night that I didn't get to go to. I had planned on going to it, but something came up. I got stuck in traffic down Tays Valley, and I wasn't going to get there till they started at 6 o'clock out Ripley, and I was trying to get to it, and I thought, God can hear me where I'm at, so I can pray for my brothers, and a bunch of preachers from the community were getting together, praying together, and having a service last night, and I said, I can't be with them physically, but I can pray for them. I did, and He knows. God knows exactly what we need all the time. Okay, I've got 2 lessons for tonight. Okay, one is about finances, and one is about knowledge of God. I'm going to go into the knowledge of God. We've been in 1 Corinthians forever, forever, for 3 months maybe, going through 1 Corinthians, because it's the first. It's a letter written to churches. But I want to skip. I want to get to that part at the end. So don't go there yet. Don't go to 1 Corinthians yet. We'll go there at the end, because I want to give you a 5-minute version of the 10-minute lesson I just gave the kids in the back. Okay, I want you to turn to Psalm 147. Psalm 147. Let me turn this thing on. Psalm 147. And again, just like any other Wednesday night or Sunday school hour, if you got questions, you ask your questions, and I'll answer them best as I know how. I mean, I'll give the right answer, but I give an answer, right? Right answers cost more, right? You got to get it. Okay, Psalm 147. Yeah, leave your Bibles open there, and everybody look up this way. Once you find Psalm 147, look up this way, and we'll stop. We won't read for a couple minutes because we're going to look at something else. Okay, Donna, can you tell me everything you did today? Could you, if I gave you a piece of paper, could you write down everything you did today? Okay, Charlie, if I gave you a piece of paper, could you write down every thought that went through your head today? No. You ever have thoughts and you say, I need to do this, I need to get the clothes out of the dryer, or whatever it is, and then you forget all about it, right? I need to turn the water off if something's boiling on the stove or whatever, and I forgot to do that. Or so Sunday morning comes around and I said, I forgot to get the meat out of the freezer that I was supposed to get out that we're going to put in the crock pot this morning before church. Because that's the best way to cook on either grill or crock pot for Sunday. And I thought, man, I forgot to get that out. Okay, we forget what we thought we were going to do. Okay, Brother House taught us to carry 3 to 5 cards in your pocket. You're supposed to write down every thought you have. I got to do that. Or here's a thought. I write that down. Okay, but I've never been good at that, so I'll often forget what I was thinking about a couple minutes ago. And I went to something today. There was 100 people there at this meeting, and I'm in my sales job. I'm standing there with my boss, and people come over and talk to us. So people go around the room, a little bigger, just like a gymnasium going around, and we're meeting people, and we'll find out what county they're from, West Virginia. Within a minute, I'm forgetting their names, or even what county they're from. And the lady, she said, a lady came by a second time. I said, what county are you from? She said, Lewis County. I said, oh, yeah. And my boss is like, yeah, I got family there. He called her cousin, whatever. He just kind of joked with the salesman, act like they know everybody. And I think, I can't remember, okay? I can't remember, okay? If you were to write down everything you did, you'd have a list today. Or every thought that you went through your head, huh? You have a book of everything you did, every thought you had, whatever it is. Okay? Did you know we can't remember stuff? Charlie, could you tell me every thought that went through Michelle's head today? She wanted to kill you 3 times, whatever. Okay, but you can't, can you? Okay? Can you write down everything that went through David's mind today? Marie says no, nothing went through his mind. He slept half the day. Okay. They said, well, all he said was what's for lunch. Okay. But we can't remember this. God knows it all. He knows every thought that goes through our mind. He knows, it's on record, okay, in his record. And he's never surprised or shocked by what we say or do. He already knew ahead of time what we would do, and he knows when we go down a path and we're going to go off in the wrong direction or whatever that path, we come to forks in the road, we don't know what's this way or this way. He does, okay? And he knows before we get there which route we're going to take. That's why he said, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated, because Esau didn't care anything about what God said or did, right? Before they were born, God already knew the path that Esau was going to take, and Esau was not a bad guy. It was probably a good neighbor, and he was good to his brother, But the truth is, Esau was not concerned about a birthright or anything that came from God or even acknowledging God most of his life. Okay, so that's why God could say, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated, because of the direction I know he's going to go. And his descendants all become heathen, hating Israel. Okay, so we'll back up with this. Okay, what is the term for the person that studies plants, all the plants, studies plants, not just a farmer? Botanist, right? Is called botany or botanist? Botany is the study of, or botanist is the study. You know, God's the greatest botanist because he knows all the plants, right? What about people that study the sea life? Study the animals in the sea. What is this called? Marine biologist, very good. There's just stuff in the bottom of the ocean, supposed to be stuff in the bottom of the ocean. I mean, you see it in the movie like Finding Nemo and what's that one? Meg. I don't know if you've seen that one. Okay, there's supposed to be stuff in the bottom of the ocean that people have never seen, right? I mean, that's what every time they go down farther, they find stuff. Ooh, we haven't seen this one, right? And once in a while they find plants that botanists don't know what they are, right? Go through the jungle and they find something, or go somewhere else and they find, we've never seen this plant before, okay? God knew it was there. Knew it was there all along. He knows about those creatures in the bottom of the sea, right? He knows everything about all those things. How many stars are there? Anybody know? A lot. That's the exact same word that Mary Sheila said in the back. Okay? When I said, how many stars are there? I mean, one of the boys said 100 or whatever, and Mary Sheila said a lot. Okay? Huh? Chip off a little block. That's exactly right. You know what's kind of funny? I have no idea. And man doesn't know either. It's supposedly, in the Milky Way, that's the solar system that we are in, there's supposed to be 300 billion stars. That sound right? Anybody know? How would they know? Now, you go online and you can pay to have a star named after somebody, right? Yeah, you've heard that. You've heard commercials on the radio. And okay, you can pay to have this star that no one has seen, or whatever. That's how they claim to know how. Yeah, that's right. Like they used to say, the Earth was 13 million years old. When we were kids, when the evolutionists said that. I remember this from science class when I was in school. That the evolution theory, which they taught us back, it's not even a theory because it's disprovable. They say the Earth is 13 million years old. Yeah, 13 million years old. Then they changed up to 25 million years old. Now they're saying 66 billion years ago, everything created from a little spark, like something as tiny as the pin of a needle, exploded and created everything. Okay? Well, yeah, but God had the spark. Okay? And it wasn't 66 billion years ago as far as we know. All right? It's only 6,000 years of man's history and knowledge. Okay. But in reality, we can't name all the stars. Right? And we can't name the stars in Hollywood. That's a bad joke. Okay. Psalm 147. What we got there? Okay. Psalm 147, verse 4 says this. He telleth the number of the stars. He calleth them all by their names. Great is the Lord and of great power. His understanding is infinite. Okay? The word we had for the kids back in the back tonight was omniscient. I mean all. And the last S-C-I-N-T is like the word science, which is knowledge. I think it's Greek word for knowledge. So it's all knowledgeable. So we can't name the stars, even if you pay someone on the internet to name one for you. But we can't name them all, but God knows them all by name. Okay? And we can go out, and I remember as a kid studying, this is Orion's belt and different Big Dipper, and we learned this constellations, and people go out and see, or go out in the deserts or whatever, they go by the stars to know which direction they're going, the North Star or whatever. Okay, God knows them all. With all that knowledge, what's he do with it? What's he do? Two things, a couple things, actually several. But one is, we can never say anything or do anything he doesn't know about, right? I was amazed when I was a kid that my parents always found out when I got in trouble. Anybody else like that? What are you laughing for, Marie? Did your parents find out when you got in trouble? Oh. I believe that. Okay, I was amazed when they always knew, and of course, where I lived over in Canal City as a kid, my grandma lived there on the farm, so we were out here a lot, but we didn't grow up out here. We grew up over 27th Street, and the neighbors would call. Boy next door, Stevie Wood, I'm being worked at the pharmacy at CAMC the last 40 years. We're best friends. We were always in trouble. Okay, and I think the neighbors would call and say that we were up to something. When it's if Miss Joe, did you ever call on one of the neighborhood kids and said we got in trouble? You ever calling Roger when he was getting in trouble? You would never have called his mother, Gert, and said this is what he did. Oh man, I don't know why Charlie, I couldn't get away about nothing. And I didn't know how my parents knew, but everyone knew us. I mean, it was like strangers in the neighborhood. It was us. So if something was broken, someone shot a BB gun and went through a window somewhere, or something got broken, or I can list the things, but I'm not going through right now. I'm human, okay? It's that memory thing. I can't remember all the bad things I did as a kid. I'm sure my parents could, okay? I'm sure they could list them. I was amazed at what they knew, okay? I was amazed at how many people knew my dad. We went everywhere. Everywhere we went on vacation, people knew my dad. Of course, we understood everybody in the holler knew our dad, and everybody in our neighborhood knew my dad, right? But we would go. We were on vacation with my aunt and uncle, so we're riding in a pickup truck with a topper on it. We would be riding the camper part in the back of the topper, in the back of the truck. So we went all the way to Yellowstone and Grand Canyon, or whatever places we went to. And my dad, we went several times, but my dad only got to go with us once. And we ran into people that knew my dad. We were at a rodeo in Wyoming, and I was like, I don't know, 5 years old maybe at the time. And all of a sudden, one of the cowboys in the rodeo stops and says, hey, George. He starts yelling at my dad. And I said, how does everybody know my dad? And somebody he hadn't seen, last time he saw him, they were fighting a battle together over in France in World War II. And they hadn't seen this guy. They were good friends. They hadn't seen each other in 1970, 1945. They were 44, whatever years they were in France. And he hadn't seen that guy since. But of course, he recognized my dad, so it said, so that means, Charlie, that meant benefits for me because I got to go down where all the cowboys were and all the horses in the at the rodeo thing, which was really everything was beneficial being my father's son. But the truth is, I was amazed how many people knew him. It amazes me how much God knows. Always, everything. He never says, I never thought of that. I'm surprised that was going to that happened. Okay. Pearl Harbor did not surprise him. 9/11 did not surprise him. He knew it was coming. Well, how come he didn't stop it? Because he had a plan. Charlie prayed for a great revival in our nation, or a great awakening in our nation. I think things like 9/11, for one day, 9/11, we came back as a nation and said, let's all be together. And the senators were singing "God Bless America" on the state capitol, federal capitol, at Capitol steps. They wouldn't do it today. So that revival lasted for about 12 hours before reporters got a hold of whatever this and started making accusations against each other. Okay, politicians got involved. God knows. Okay, if He knows all this stuff, there's one verse I didn't read. Okay, Psalm 147. Psalm 147. Back in the verses we're in. Look at verse 3. He healeth the broken in heart, and bindeth up their wounds. Really. Verse 2. The Lord doth build up Jerusalem. He gathers together the outcasts of Israel. Then what's He do with His knowledge? He works in people's hearts all the time. The Holy Spirit works convictions in people's hearts. There's people I pray for all the time that there's people I prayed for 40 years before they got saved. And all along, God's working in their hearts. And we think He's not. He is. And He knows everybody and what it takes to reach them. Jesus died on the cross for everybody to get saved. Does that mean everybody will get saved? No. Because there's still, hell was created for the devil and his angels, but there's a lot of people wanting to jump in, right? They'll go. Okay. If He knows all of this, He cares for us. And He says, I know everything you need, but I'm going to give you what you need. Okay. I was outside digging. I don't know what night it was. Monday night. Had to dig something outside. I was digging the wrong hole. And then I had to go move over a few feet and dig. I was trying to find the lid of the septic tank, which really doesn't matter as part of the message. But I was digging the wrong spot, so I had to go over here and try to find it, and then dig up this way and try to find it, and then dig over this way and try to find it. And finally, I end up for a hole that I needed that was this big, end up with a hole that you could park that small car in. It was kind of, okay. But I thought, this is what I need. I need to be out here doing this tonight, rather than sitting on the couch watching TV. Well, work 2 hours digging on Monday night, and then about an hour and a half digging Tuesday morning before I went to work just to make sure to get it done. I needed that. He knew I needed that. But what else do I need to do? I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow what I got to do next, right? I know I'm supposed to go to work. I could be behind 10, 8 o'clock in the morning. But I'll know tomorrow what he wants me to do next, what I need to do. And I think he has steps of a good man ordered by the Lord. Does that mean I think I'm a good man? No, but he orders our steps for us and does, this is what I want you to do. That's why, to me, salvation is personal. Jesus died for everybody, but you personally got to trust him as your Savior. But his guidance in our life, his love for us is just as personal as the salvation is. That we got to take it, understand he knows, well, how could God allow this? Okay, this 6-month-old baby, Kelly's granddaughter, how can God allow that baby to get sick? Well, maybe he's working on Hannah and JR's heart that they'll get back in church. Right? That's my thinking. God knows more than I do, but my first thought is, what are you going to do when your baby's sick? Pray? I mean, they go to the doctor, whatever has to be done, right? They do all the medical procedures, what need to be done. But the first thing we do is pray. When you're not in church, not in fellowship with God, a lot of times when you kneel down and pray, first thing you think of is, man, I need to get back and serve God again. Okay? How do you know that, Brother John? Because I did that one morning when I was with my friends, when I went camped out with some friends one day, a year or so after I got saved, and it's not that it was bad. It's just that I was missing church on Sunday morning, and I was convicted over just not being right. Okay, my heart wasn't right. Okay, and there's other times, that's not the only time, but I want to pray about something. Maybe I'm not in fellowship where I can pray. Okay, God allows things to happen in people's lives, right? He's always working. And Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, most powerful king in all the world, had a dream. Called his astrologers and his wise men in and said, tell me what I dreamed last night. The dream has gone from me. I can't remember. You tell me what it is. And they said, no king on earth is going to ask someone else asked his wise men to tell them their dream from last night. And Nebuchadnezzar said, you tell me what I'm going to have you all killed. I mean, if you're like, they said, tell us the dream and we'll tell you the interpretation of the dream. He said, you got to be able to tell, if you're as wise as you say you are, you tell me what the dream was. And nobody can do that. And so Daniel came into the king, in the book of first couple chapters of the book of Daniel. Daniel came in and said, king, nobody can tell you this, but there is a God in heaven that knows. He told him the dream, and told him the interpretation of the dream, and Daniel got it promoted, and went over the rest of the story. Okay? With all that in mind, God cares for you, knows what's best for you, and knows everything that's going on all the time. Right? You have any questions on this? You ever have doubts? Reason on their head. One honest person, right? You ever have doubts that he knows? Charlie, you ever doubt that he knows what's going on? Okay, hey God, can't you see what's going on here? Yeah, he knows. When I mentioned Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar, when Israel was invaded by Babylon, the prophets had given this illustration. A bunch of people were taken from Israel, from Jerusalem, and carried away several hundred miles away to Babylon. And most people would think, well, those must be the bad people. And those were the people that God was preserving while the judgment was poured out on his nation. Part of the judgment. Okay? On his people that were here, that were left. Okay? And God doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, he knows exactly what's going on. Sometimes he just wants us to pray. And sometimes he wants us to see that we're doing something we should be doing. And sometimes he just needs to heal a broken heart. But you don't know. Yeah, he knows. I don't know. I can't find my keys sometimes. And I've got to take Tammy's phone and call my phone to find out where it's at and hope it's not on vibrate, right? If it's on vibrate, you can't find it unless, Okay. He knows. Always. Questions? Comments? Okay. Now, with that in mind, he cares about us. He knows exactly what we need all the time. With that in mind, let's go to our next lesson, and we're going to tie the two together. Okay? Because we've been in 1 Corinthians, and we'll get down towards the end of the book. And I just want to I want to do this too because I want to tie it together. That's the kids' lesson that I gave them the 10 minutes before I came in here. But I want to go to this. 1 Corinthians chapter 16. Okay? Down towards the end of the book. You got it? Okay. 1 Corinthians 16, first 2 verses. All we'll read. Now concerning the collection for the saints, as I have given order to the churches of Galatia, even so do ye. Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store, as God hath prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come. Okay, look up this way. We're not going to read more of that chapter. Because after that goes into personal greetings, and this is what we're doing. And Paul's talking about finances. Okay? We ever worry about finances? Anybody here ever get concerned about finances? Okay? What's he tell us to do? In these verses, he's writing to a church, and he said, and in 2 Corinthians, he goes back and answers these people. Okay? But he said, we're coming, we're sending missionaries, or I'm going to come myself, and he said, I'll do this myself. He said, we're sending missionaries to other places, and we're going to take up a collection when they get there, but I don't want you to take a special offering. I want you every Sunday, first day of the week, I want you to come in and bring your offerings. Okay? It's not tithing. Tithing is Old Testament command by law. It's part of the law, and people are supposed to give, and they did. And we still practice the same principle because God can, the way I look at it, God can do more with 90 cents than what I can do with $1. But that's the way I look at tithing. And he knows, and he asked for this, and I give him the first 10%. I think we should. And most, I remember during the COVID a year ago, Miss Joe calls on Saturday morning, or Sunday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, and said, can you come up and get my check, my tithing check? Because of COVID, she was stayed home for a year. And so Sunday morning, she called me, called Tam and said, can you come up here before you go to church? Okay, because it's a biblical principle of tithing, which is 10%. But here, Paul's saying, I want you to give money to these people that are in Jerusalem or take up this offering. And he said, I want you to do this, but I don't want you to take a special offering. I want you every Sunday morning when you meet, I want you to give. Okay, and they did as much as you. It's not commanded. It's not nobody's going to twist your arm. Look, turn first, 2 Corinthians. We're going to look over a couple of verses. Okay, because if God knows all this, then we don't have to worry about. If God already knows how much we make and how much He gives us, and we look at it as if He gave us 100% and He wants 10% back or whatever an offering is. Okay. Okay. If we went back over to 1 Corinthians, like verse 4, we don't read it right now, but he said, I'll go with the money if you want me to go with me money, but I don't care anything about, I don't like counting the money. I don't want to carry the money to the bank or anything like that, so I just don't do that, and Paul didn't either. Okay, for 2 Corinthians chapter 8, I'm going to read 3 verses. We'll get time. Moreover, brethren, first verse. Moreover, brethren, we do you to wit of the grace of God bestowed on the churches of Macedonia. That means I want you to witness what has happened to the churches of Macedonia. That's how it's written. Okay? How that in a great trial of affliction, the abundance of their joy and their deep poverty abounded unto the riches of their liberality. That means these people had a great trial and had poverty, but they gave, and it's abounded unto the riches of their liberality because they gave. For to their power I bear record, yea, and beyond their power they were willing of themselves, praying with us with much entreaty that we would receive the gift and take upon us the fellowship of the ministering to the saints. Stop reading right there. So Paul's writing back to this church that he wrote to, 1 Corinthians, he's writing to in 2 Corinthians. He said, you know what happened, and these people knew what had happened, that these churches over here, Macedonia, he said, you saw them give when they didn't have to give, and they still gave. Okay? And God blessed them, and they asked me to take the money, or Apostle Paul didn't want to take money from poor people to give it to somebody else, but they kind of almost, verse 2 and 3, it's almost like they pressure Paul, they prayed him to ask him to take it so he could they make their income a blessing to other people. Okay, y'all with me on that? Okay, you know, some of our missionaries tithe. Some of our missionaries that live off of like $200 a month, they tithe off that to help pay for other missionaries. I mean, some of them have told me personally about this, or they've mentioned it when they were here, that they give to other missions to start another mission work somewhere else. I mean, someone else is just getting started in a mission work. They do that. To me, it's a tremendous thing, the people that give. Well, do you have to? You have to. Look down at chapter 8, 2 Corinthians 8, verse 12. For if there be first a willing mind, is accepted according to that a man hath, and not according to that he hath not. Don't worry about what you don't have to give. Okay? Well, but John, that big church gave a lot of money, and we only gave this. I'm glad we gave what we gave. You know, when about 5 years ago, when Clarence came and he did all the work on the outside of the building and built the room on the upstairs and did all this work for us, I found out late. I didn't know, but I asked. We asked Jake DeAndre, because they're good friends, how much money we should give as an offering, and so I can't remember the exact numbers, but he came to work for 5 weeks and did a lot more work in 5 weeks than anybody else that I've ever seen do in 5 weeks' time, for just him and his boys working. And we all pitched in, did different things, and had fun doing it. But the truth is, he did a lot of this work as a missionary. All right. Our church gave an offering, and people within our church gave extra on the offering, so we ended up with a nice gift for him and his family for the time that they were here. And I think it was Jake DeAndre that told me afterwards, because they're good friends. He said, y'all gave them about 3 times what everyone else does for the times they were there. I said, well, we're a small church, right? We don't have a lot of money, right? And by the time we bought building materials, we really didn't have a lot of money. But he said, y'all gave a lot more than what other people do. I'm tickled to death that we didn't have much. We gave, and we made donations, monetary. Some people worked, some people did monetary donations, whatever, to buy the building. We had money for the building supply. We just didn't have money to pay him, really. And I thought we didn't pay him enough. Not me personally. I think, man, for the work that they've done, it's $100,000 worth of work. And we were giving him whatever the number was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Jake said we gave him about 3 times as much what everyone else does for the times we gave. I'm tickled. I think God bless us for doing it. Okay? The missionaries that have come through here, there's missionaries that have stopped here on a Sunday night, not knowing anyone's going to be here or who's going to be here, and they've walked out. We give them an offering of $200. Okay? Or some of the preachers that have preached for us, we give them a good offering. Why? Do we have to? No, but I'm tickled that we can. Okay? Or that we do. And there's been times where we didn't have money to pay them. We didn't, years ago, I'm going to back up by 10 years, we didn't have enough money in offerings to pay the missionaries. I mean, we promised them each $50 a month. It's what we told them. We'd give them each $50 a month, or whatever that number was. We'll give them each $50 a month. And we didn't have it. And it was just, there's times where the money didn't come in. I'm tickled that we can, when we can. Okay? And God blesses us for doing that. Now, let's go back. Let's put the two things together. Okay? The financial giving, or if you don't have financials to give, you give and you serve, you teach, you work, you serve in some capacity. Anything you do to serve God. God can, if He knows how many stars there are and calls them all by name, He knows every heartache you have in life and every burden you carry. He also knows every good thing you do, every investment that you make, either in your children or the neighbor's child or the kids that you taught in school, Miss Joe, that you taught at the Christian school, or Charlie, the kids that you teach at the middle school. He knows every investment, Marie, every child that you invested in at Horseman or at the grade school out here, every investment that you make, He pays you back for it, right? Does He not? And sometimes it's a financial blessing. Sometimes it's just a joyful blessing, right? There's times when God knows what the verse we read in Psalm 147. He knows the heartaches that we have, right? there's sometimes that I think about things in the wrong way, and I have heavy burdened over things that bother me. Okay, whether it's our nation, our church, our kids that have grown up in this church. But then there's other times that when I think about it, it's some of our adults, how some of our kids grew up and turned into great adults. That some of them are in church, some are not in church, some are serving faithfully, some need to get back in church and serve. But I think about the blessings that God has given us by allowing us to invest in people. And one couple came back to church after they'd been gone for several years. They came back to our church a few years back, and they haven't been here since COVID, but they came back and they said, y'all helped us raise our kids. They got great kids who are now adults in the 30s. In the 30s, maybe close to 40. And they said, they said, you guys helped us raise our kids. And to me, that was one of the greatest blessings, looking back and say, they're good people. They turned out to be good. And I look at other Christians, young adult Christians that have grown up in our church, they're doing great, serving God, either here or somewhere else, and they're in church and they're serving God. And I think, there's a great blessing with that. I think about that with Travis. Charlie and Travis have been friends since high school or whatever, and Ben, and I think it's a great blessing for me just to think that they're 2 miles down the road preaching the gospel. Okay, okay. God always pays back. Okay, we're still in 2 Corinthians chapter 9. It's almost 8 o'clock. The kids aren't out yet, so we don't dismiss yet. Okay. Look at verse 6, chapter 9, verse 6. But this I say, and this comes back to investing, whether it's financially or you're investing your time, whatever it is. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according to his purpose, as he purposes in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. Okay? Of course, preacher and I used to say, God loveth a cheerful giver, but we'll take it from any old grouse, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. When the offering plate goes around, I don't care, you got a smile on your face, as long as you check the amounts. Okay? Not grudgingly of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, that ye always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. That means God's going to meet your every need so you can abound to every good work that He has called you to do and laid out for you to do. Okay? As is written, he has dispersed abroad, verse 9, as is written, he has dispersed abroad, he has given to the poor, his righteousness remaineth forever. Now he that ministers seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness. Really? Being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causes through us thanksgiving to God. I mean, God gives us all those things, and He gives us everything we have, and He says, won't you give? And He says, I'm going to give you more because you gave. And I'm going to multiply your blessings. Okay? David asked me a few months ago before church, he said, you really looking for a new tractor? Because I got a two-wheel drive tractor, but I can't get on the hill with it, four-wheel drive tractor. I think, yeah, that's what I want. So, you praying about that, Brother John? Hardly. Not really. I'm not really asking for it really big. But in reality, He knows what I need more than I know what I need. Okay? Rather than me getting a tractor because I sit in the truck all day, maybe He's saying, hey, you need to take that mowing sign and go work on those weeds yourself. Okay? Not sitting on a tractor, you need to go out there and do it yourself. Okay? Go on the hillside and do a little exercise instead of sitting on the couch. Okay? He knows what we need. He knows everything. He knows the investments we make. He knows the joy that comes with making those investments, and sometimes we make an investment without what a waste on that kid, right? But I wasn't. Okay? He'll make it abound in some way. He knows what's best. Questions? Comments? That comes back to faith and trusting Him for the outcome. Right? Comments and questions. Nobody else have anything to say? It must have done a great job explaining everything again tonight. Right? I don't know if it was right or not, but it was the way it sounded good to me. First time I heard someone else preach it. Nah, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's pray. We're dismissed. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. Thank you for truth you've given us in your word. Help us be the Christians we ought to be, to invest in others with our entire life, financially, gifts, whatever it is we have. to make it that we can be a blessing to others, and we see the benefits of it, whether on this side of eternity or that side of eternity. We want to know how many people our missionaries win to Christ until we get there. I pray that you'll use us for your glory. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. You're dismissed. Thanks for coming out tonight. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I will be.